All right, all. First, let's say a quick hello. Chantel, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thanks for letting me kick it off. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Chantel. I am about 4 months into my journey as a wheelie, and I'm super excited about some products that we're building. Andrew's going to walk us through some of that and just the vision that we all have as a team. Super excited to be here. Pretty passionate about revenue management, mostly passionate about customer success, and I've been lucky to build that experience over the past decade or so. I've spent most recently my time at Airbnb and then before that, Expedia. But super excited to be here on the Wheelhouse side and excited to learn more from Andrew and team. So, Andrew, I'll pass it to you.
Actually, Mike, take it away.
Oh,
Oh, good.
okay. Just kidding.
No worries. Good morning, afternoon, evening, all. Somehow this is my first Wheelhouse webinar. Hopefully I'm invited back. I lead our account management team at Wheelhouse. I'm based in Denver. My team, Chantel here and others, act as your account managers, so your primary points of contact at Wheelhouse. I joined the team 2.5 years ago. I came over from Twitter. I worked on the data platform team for 5.5 years, managing the finance vertical. Yeah, really excited to spend some time with y'all today and get you up to speed on a lot of the work we've been doing behind the scenes to get you better advanced functionality and lots of cool features within Wheelhouse.
Great. I'm Andrew, CEO. I think I've met quite a few of you, but good to see you all. If you ever have a question, idea, I'd love to hear it. I'm Andrew at usewheelhouse.com. Hopefully easy to reach. I trust that I am. Thanks for making time today. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk a little bit about some product launches that we wanted to draw your attention to for Q3. And you'll see here that we're going to be going back and forth between we've got the Wheelhouse website where we'll be diving in, and we have the Wheelhouse changelog too, which we're going to make sure that you all know about. Everything that we'll be talking about today. We picked kind of our five favorites from Q3 that we wanted to share and discuss with you all and make sure you were aware of them and probably provide some insights on how you'd like to see us evolve these new features. We're hopefully, and I trust we'll have time to get into some really big product previews, and these will not be slides. These will be live versions of what we have in admin testing right now. So three major new additions to the Wheelhouse platform that we're excited to share. That's our agenda today. Please do add questions in chat as we go. We've got teammates obviously here to help either A, answer questions or B, flag for me that we should take a minute, take a breath, and go deeper on a particular item. And with that, we're going to dive right into Q3 product launches. And the first one we want to talk about is smart flags. Okay. So smart flags, I think of this as a pretty boring name for really Wheelhouse trying to provide you with a new revenue teammate. And you can think of smart flags as a thing that an embedded revenue analyst is going to throw up in the air when you need to pay attention to something on your account. And there's a couple types of flags. We're going to talk about a little more, but they're going to double check your setup performance. And just for another view of this, it is your new embedded revenue analyst. It's going to run every single night and analyze every single listing in your account. For new listings, it's going to flag onboarding and configuration issues that need to be addressed. For existing listings, it's going to look at two main things. Are your settings, of any settings that you've created, are they starting to interact in a way that we think you might not have intended? And secondly, performance. So as your pacing, as your revenue or occupancy or something funny about performance that we want to alert you to. Bunches, many ways you can use this. You can use this for visibility, obviously, for you. You can use it for training new teammates. And we do think it will certainly help you scale. So I'm going to go over to my Wheelhouse account, to my performance page. And if you go to this column selector here, which you might know, there's listing features, listing status. You have historical and future metrics you can add here and customize this view. You all likely know that. But in the listing status section, you'll see flags. Okay. You can click this column now. Oops, sorry. It alphabetizes when you unselect. So the reason you don't see some flags is I have some trial listings, but for any listings that you have that are paid, you'll see that these flags start to appear. And to make this view a little clearer, I'm going to go to my flags filter. And here you'll start to see some of the flags that we have. So some of the performance ones are if I wanted to flag my properties that have year-over-year occupancy pacing. What this analyst is doing is every single night we're looking at your booking window looking forward, and we're comparing that booking window to the past, last year. So that booking window shifts every day. And we are literally analyzing whether your pacing is matching prior year's performance. So these are all of my properties here that match this criteria. Much like all filters, I don't need to click the filter button again. I can just click on the actual selection. And I want to look at a different one. In this case, I want to look at last minute doubling. So this is one of those flags that might fly. Now this would have both, but that's okay. Last minute doubling is a flag that will occur only when certain conditions emerge. So say you had set up an occupancy pacing table in Wheelhouse, which you can do. It's in the settings. And you had also set up a last minute discount. And let's say those were now interacting in a way that was pulling your price above or below a range, kind of into a range where we're like, whoa, 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 something is quite off here. We will flag that for you. So settings that you maybe created a year ago that only kick in every now and then, or maybe only overlap in certain instances, we're going to flag that for you too. Every single night we'll be looking, because that occupancy pacing table is tied to time from today. So it's a conditional statement. It only occurs sometimes. Additionally, if your team had a new property, you might want to look at something such as this one can be actually during setup or at any point. But this flag base price, high historical impact. What this is telling me is that the bookings that I've had at this property are really impacting Wheelhouse's base price recommendation. So in this case, I clicked into a property and I could see that based on booking patterns, Wheelhouse would be pulling down my base price by a lot. That might be intentional. And sometimes it's unintentional. And by that, I mean, maybe you have a really, really aggressive last minute discounting strategy, but you don't want that to necessarily impact your base price. This flag will go off. You could ignore it, or you could come listen to some part of it. Maybe you want to say, well, I do want to listen to some of Wheelhouse's suggestion, but not all of it. And when you link a new property, you probably won't have bookings, so that might be not a great example, but we'll go out to another one, which is probably more relevant, which is I'm going to unselect this one, and I want to go look at no global minimum setup. So maybe your onboarding team has added some properties, and on Monday, you come in and you look at this setup and you say, okay, well, the 3 new properties, they don't have minimum setup. We want to go solve those. And of course, once you add minimums, those will go away. Wheelhouse launched flags, and there's a longer write-up on it here, August 8th. There's a big write-up that'll teach you a whole bunch of things. We have Help Center, we have videos, we have Help Center articles linked here. So this will have a full list of all the flags you have at your disposal now. You can go read more about them in our Help Center. So this is a longer, better write-up where we'll teach you all the things. And when we launched this, we immediately got feedback of, oh, that base price historical anchoring flag, that was a suggestion from an early user. And they're relatively easy to add. So we need to know the conditions you want us to look at or to watch out for. But if you had an idea, so it could be stagnation, right? You haven't gotten bookings for a long time. It could be no last minute setup. Whatever it is, if you have a flag that you want, A, send us an email, B, drop it into chat. We'd love to hear about it. So we just talked to a team who wants us to take a look, for example, at the year over year pacing is looking at this booking window, your upcoming booking window. However, we've had feedback that people want us to look at next year's high season and flag if that's not pacing well. So there's all sorts of conditionals that we can create. And the goal is to make it so flags are your easy way to slice and dice your portfolio. If you wanted to combine these flags, you can do so with any other filter. And per usual, if you had a view that you liked, so maybe it's, all my properties in a particular market, you can type the names. So maybe I want to see my Brooklyn and Boulder. I think I've got some listings in here that might meet that criteria. If I wanted to save this per usual, I think you all know segments, but I'm going to just say Brooklyn and Boulder flagged for occupancy. Clearly can't type live, but this is how you know it's a real demo. Okay. So that's a little bit on flags. There are many types of flags you have. They're meant to support you. They run every single night. We do think of them as your embedded revenue analyst. And we do think on Monday, they're the first place you and your team probably want to go to just check in and get a sense of what you need to pay attention to. Any questions coming on chat about that are worth, Mike, anything you want to add? I know you've talked to a lot of folks about this too.
Yeah, totally. We're so excited about smart flags and unlocking this feature for customers. Managing a ton of listings, it can be hard to find that needle in the haystack. Listings or a group of listings you want to give your attention to. I feel like we've had a couple different approaches from customers with this. For some of the large RM teams, Smart Flags almost acts as a way to audit performance and configuration gaps with the RM team. So it just helps you, keep an eye on things and be able to view like what are the current gaps in their configurations or what is lagging from a performance standpoint that I should slot in and, coach and develop and try to make sure that we're approaching things the right way. And then, for many folks who are doing a lot of things outside of revenue management, I think Smart Flags gives a great path to establishing and building out your daily, weekly, monthly process. So Andrew said, but scheduling time on Monday morning and having a segment pre-built, and being able to pull up smart flags such as stagnation, which is, a flag that we automatically will post if a booking hasn't occurred for a listing in the last 30 days. So you could just look at that, report on a weekly basis, Monday mornings, and go through those listings. Is it distribution strategy oriented? Is it marketing positioning? How are the owner requirements impacting the ability to get it booked? Just helps you zero in on a specific cohort of listings and be able to take action. A lot of obviously different ways you could tackle it, but adopting it and including it in your regular RM process and making it very easy for you to go in and take action versus going in and not knowing where to start. It just helps establish a structured approach. And yeah, our team is so excited to get this tool in your hands and start leveraging it.
Cool. Next steps, we'll make these customizable. We'll make them fire in the dashboard. So your new dashboard that hit in Q2. Certainly a good ad here would be a flag popped up, your notification center, et cetera. So definitely on step one of a what we think is an interesting notion of an embedded revenue analyst. Please send your ideas. Eager to hear more. Adam, do you think that'd be helpful? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to figure out which one to unmute. I have two different buttons. Honestly, yeah, I think it's gonna make it a lot easier to like flag potential issues within like the own setup that I would have. But I also like too the call out for like actual training and like teammate development. I thought that was a very, I guess, insightful little nugget there.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. We look at listings today, so we're flagging listing performance. And that's a really good feedback is you can train off this because sometimes, you know, we'll flag if something's not set up properly. But people also ask us, could we flag like usage patterns among teammates? And we are going to talk about a new role that's emerged on Wheelhouse in a second here. But there's a lot we can do here. We wanted to ship this quickly and learn from you all. So please do send any ideas our way. Eve, I know you got 10 ideas. Send them our way. Okay. That was the main, honestly, we took a little extra time there because it's such a fun piece of functionality. I wanted to make sure that we double clicked on some of the benefits. But I want to talk next about quick convert to fixed rates, which is just a sneaky little nice ad that we're going to go check out and talk about the use cases of. But suffice to say, what we're going to see here is I'm going to be able to grab any series of days in the date selector. And I'm going to be able to adjust and then convert all of my rates exactly as they are. Okay. And I'm also going to be able to do some other fun things. But for a use case for this, or kind of a way to think about this is like you can easily lock in any number of nights. You can adjust and lock in prices for a number of nights. And you can adjust, lock, and set an expiration for any number of nights. And we're going to do that together first. And here's what I'm going to do. On my portfolio here, I've got 73 properties. And I've got some dynamically priced, and I have some fixed prices. Okay, but what I've noticed here is I'm going to filter first by occupancy. And I think you all know this, but you can type, you don't need to scroll through. You can just type and we'll surface the filters to you. So I'm looking into the future at occupancy, and in the next 60 days, I want to see all properties that have less than 50% occupancy, right? So next 60 days, less than 50% occupancy. Oops, sorry, when I click that, I will put the 0 and that'll make it more bulletproof. Okay. And now this is going to surface from my original 73. I'm going to surface 50 properties match that criteria. And what I want to do is I want to grab the next roughly 60 nights. And before I go make precise changes, I'm just very quickly going to go over to this adjust existing. And I'm going to put negative 10%. I'm basically saying if for any available night that isn't, well, obviously that hasn't booked, for properties that have less than 50% occupancy, I want to go do a 10% discount right off the bat. If you toggle this, you'll not only make that change, we'll lock it in. So now Wheelhouse dynamic pricing won't be pulling your pricing down even more from last minute discounting or changing anything. So it allows you to make a change and then lock in that change. Now I could also say, hey, like let's do that discount, but let's have it expire on the 13th. And I'll come back in and I'll run this same query. Show me in the next 60 days, the low performing properties. And if you're a high performer, I want you out. I want that discount expiring because you've started to book again. Now, another way to leverage this, say you just created a new property within Wheelhouse and you've imported rates from your PMS and you want to turn on some amount of data-driven pricing, maybe in the far future, but really till the end of the year for this owner, you just want to say, hey, I want to adjust all rates. I want no change to them. I want to convert them to fixed. I'm not ready to use dynamic pricing yet. I'm going to start that in January. And I'm going to communicate to the owner that their strategy is now protected. I'm preserving their prices. So you could use it for onboarding functions too. So if you adjust by 0% or $0, you're basically freezing your current rate strategy in place. Another way to use it, you might want dynamic pricing for your whole calendar, but You want to go ahead to next July 4th weekend. You love where this is at. You want to grab these dates, and you don't want to set a fixed rate for all the same days, and you don't want to have a dynamic price. What you want to do is take your current pricing, which you can see they're different. I'll just collapse this. So I'm now looking. All these days are different, and I want to adjust by 0, but I've talked to the owner and I want to convert this to a fixed rate. So now we're going to preserve these rates just as they are. The rest of your calendar is still dynamic. I've now fixed all of these rates. I could have set an expiration at any point. In the past, we didn't have that convert to fixed, so you would just have had to set a new one, dynamic or fixed rate. It was too blunt of a tool. And you might have noticed too that adjust existing used to only be a percentage. But I could have come in now too. This is an ad in the quarter. We didn't make sense to do a whole section on it, but I can now adjust by a dollar amount. So I could have grabbed these days and adjusted by $25, whatever you want to do. Okay. So convert to fixed, a sneaky way to really give you control of your pricing strategy. It was combined with adjust existing. Now can be, you can adjust by a fixed amount or a percentage. Adjust existing is an incredibly powerful tool for people who have some dynamically priced and some fixed price listings, because whatever your underlying strategy, we're not changing it. Pretty fun. Okay.
Just on that, Andrew, one of
Any quick ads there. Quick
yeah, I
ads.
was gonna say one of our customers last week had a good use case. I think you covered it briefly there, but one of their revenue managers was heading out on PTO. They had a lot of confidence in the current prices that the algorithm had put together for them, but they just wanted to, have the peace of mind that things were going to have big swings based on demand or lack thereof in the short term. So they locked it into fixed, and were able to go and enjoy their time on the beach or whatever with some peace of mind for that. So another interesting use case to leverage this and locking your rates and know that there's not going to be big swings in the short term for them.
That's cool. So you can save changes for the day they come back from vacay.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Next, we're going to talk about a addition that we added. Is called absolute minimums. And we did go back and forth about how to name this and how to bring it to you, but it is an absolute minimum price you can set for your minimum prices and minimum stays. And we have to explore this one together, and we're going to do so at the listing level. And I'm going to go look at minimum prices because no doubt minimum prices is the most sensitive for owners. So for minimum prices, I have a default minimum price. And you might know this, but the way all settings work on Wheelhouse will just reinforce it is that's my default, but I could come in and say for Monday, I want 120. For Tuesday, I want 120. Oops, sorry, sloppy typing. 20, there we go. So even though I have a default min price, that's like the assumed, I can have a lower minimum price for my days a week. And the reason it's not going below that is because I have an absolute minimum that right now I'm going to lower a little bit. The most common question about this is, well, I have a global. Now you can see I've dropped my absolute minimum, which is the red line here. Why do I need a global and an absolute minimum? But the global, again, is kind of your default rate. Every rule below it can modify it. So I could come in and for a particular event, change a minimum price. But this absolute minimum is always the last rule applied, and your rules can't go below it, as we saw just a second ago when I set 120 and I actually couldn't go down to it. For HOA minimums, for owner minimums, the way teams are using this is their owner sets their absolute minimum, and their revenue team is really in control of the rules and the overrides. Now, where this becomes really important is most revenue management, or a lot of revenue management for our customers, once their portfolios are set up, they're doing a lot of those adjustments that we just did right on the calendar view, right? And sometimes, even though we try to surface minimum pricing here, sometimes they're obviously making adjustments that impact minimum price. In fact, you can even come in here and sometimes people will adjust existing minimum prices. So now in this case, what I'm saying is if I made this adjustment for all of these days, so for all of October, I'm going to adjust my minimum price. Obviously, this only matters if my pricing engine is hitting my minimum price. But if I did this from this view, we would create a new override in your settings. And we want to make sure that that actually never violates an owner's rule, right? So the default minimum price was not protected in the same way that the absolute is protected. Okay. Could be a little funny. Definitely powerful. Right now, that absolute minimum, which you can come in and kind of just align on with owners, but your team, no matter who sets it, no one will ever go below it, applies to minimum price and applies to minimum stay. And if you leverage it, you will not have owners calling you and saying, wait, I said 150. How did we ever get down to 120? Which maybe 9 months later, that information is lost. So, and per usual too, you might, add context. You have your notes pane on the side here. So if I wanted to say owner min agreed on October 2nd, Andrew, whatever, scene will make it possible to tag someone. I can create a note, and that's always now going to be available to future teammates as well. You might know too that the help, so how to use all of your settings, we changed this recently as well, but the help and notes are now contained right here within your top nav for every single setting. Okay. So absolute minimums cannot be overridden. Other rules will be blocked by them. And really importantly, overrides, which can happen on the calendar. Overrides, which happen on the calendar, sometimes without full context, will now never cause an owner issue. All right, all. Thank you for the patience. I love 7:30 with you all. So the cliff notes for this added to minimum price. It's a new sub rule, so to speak, on your settings. It's on min price and min stays. It cannot be overridden from your calendar. It cannot be overridden by rules. You have to explicitly change it to ever go below it. All right. Kind of part and parcel with that absolute minimum. We have a new role that's available. So a new team member type. We're going to check this out in a second. As you might know today, or kind of before this new role, Wheelhouse had an admin, probably you're the account owner. You can invite managers. Managers are able to add other teammates and control billing and things like that. We had an editor seat, and editors are able to change anything. Any listings they're assigned to, they're able to change. And we had a viewer seat. Viewers can see things but not change things, kind of like an owner seat in some regards. That's how some of our customers use it. But the new single listing editor tool was designed to help more people address owner problems faster while protecting your overall revenue strategy. Okay. So really this role, which we're going to see in a second here, the single listing editor, and we'll review teams while we're doing it, is designed kind of for non-revenue manager teammates. Again, the goal is to help more teammates solve owners faster. So maybe an owner has a question about a minimum price or wants to change a minimum price. And some of our teams always have to route that through revenue management, and that's fine. But you can also really accelerate your revenue management efforts and allow your revenue management team to stay focused on strategy. If some of those small operational things are just solved by whoever might be more owner facing, and sometimes it's the same seat, we recognize that. At the same time, we want that seat to be able to change one listing at a time, but not impact your whole revenue strategy. Right? So it's a little bit of a different configuration. And Costco, who's a new Wheelhouse customer, they just onboarded 36,000 listings to Wheelhouse. They trained 500 teammates in the platform, and they're going to be, a lot of them will be using this single listing editor role. When an owner has a question, any of their ops teammates can solve that at a listing level with, again, not impacting their revenue management strategy. The philosophy is they want the person who hears the problem to solve the problem. Good news, we built out a whole lot more training material for this process that can be brought to all of your teammates as well. Okay. So we're going to go into Wheelhouse. Teams, our teams page probably needs to look a little more beautiful, let's be honest. However, this is one of the places I can invite new team members to my account. I can invite Mike at usewheelhouse.com. I can invite anyone to my account. When I do invite them, they'll show up here. Mike's already a member. And you can do things such as give Mike access by default to all listings or segments of listings, and I can auto assign a role. So we're updated to single listing editor versus restricted editor. On the portfolio view, you might know that you're able to show your teammates, and I'm going to just change a few things here. I'm going to strip out tags. I'm going to strip out flags. And let's take out these. But you might know that this button here, I can quickly just show my teammate columns. And you'll see this new restricted editor seat. Again, I think by end of day, it will be called single listing editor. But it means that I can quickly go here, and I'm going to say that Mike is, oops, sorry. I'm going to make Mike a single listing editor on these listings. And if Mike now grabbed any of those properties, the simple way to put it, Mike now has to go into the listing level to adjust any strategy or rate. If Mike tried to grab two listings at the same time where he was a single listing editor and tried to change their base, their min prices, which could be a mistake, it should, let's verify. I think he's now got the right permissions on both these listings. It'll pop up and say he's not able to do, oh, I think it maybe got the wrong listings when I selected again, but it will say, hey, you don't have permission to change two listings at a time. So maybe I can bring those columns back. Okay, I probably have to do a little refresh there. I can make a adjustment here just if I've selected a single listing. So the goal of that role, and we'll probably create more roles, but we definitely think this is pretty good setup so far. Again, this is more of an operational focused teammate or an owner focused teammate who's not making revenue management strategies across a broad swath of listings, is making precise changes at a listing level, hopefully accelerating your team. Keep rocking and rolling. Quick look settings. This is just hopefully something you noticed already, and we kind of talked about it in our last, we had a webinar recently where we talked about just events and seasons. This is part of events and seasons. We remade settings. It includes your notes and your help center being a little prettier. But now the quick view that you get is I'm able to see every single listing or all my settings right here. So I don't need to, I can click into minimum pricing. Before you had to click in and scroll through to see all your rules. But now we're going to show you your globals. We're going to show you how many rules you have set up on each of these, and they're going to be reflective of what you see here. So a really fast remake. We made this quick look settings. Obviously, it's designed to accelerate your ability to navigate portfolio and was part of the events and seasons launch. If you missed that webinar, which was 4 weeks ago, the short and sweet is you have a new events and seasons configuration. At a listing level or from your portfolio view or a market level, you can now create events and seasons. And when you do so, all of your events and seasons are available across every setting. So I can go in and make minimum price for a particular event, or I can come adjust my pricing strategy for a particular event and season. And we have a full, if you didn't attend that and want to learn more about that, we have lots and lots of write-ups in our change log about events and seasons. It's a huge update to the system. You didn't have to change your configuration on day one, but you could if you wanted to. And again, we've got a full hour-long webinar just on that because it's a really powerful addition to your arsenal. All right, we're to some Q4 previews. You wanted to highlight 5 items. Any questions pop up that we should address?
No
Chat
question.
has been quiet.
Yep.
Mike, Chantel, any questions, ads?
No, cruising through. Yeah, please drop any questions in the chat. I'd love to hear from you all. And yeah, if you're seeing value, if you have interesting use cases or just general questions, I'd love to hear from you.
Sweet. All right. Now honestly, this is the fun stuff. Okay. Thank you all for waiting. So, you all might have noticed there's a whenever you see the green box here, it means something is in admin mode. So you can see a few things that are in admin mode that we always it's what we're able to see, but our customers are not because we're still testing it and figuring it out. But suffice to say, Wheelhouse has shipped a lot of data science and kind of updated pricing engine work this year. And I think we're all collectively, there's always tension between, we have at this point about 500,000 listings connected to Wheelhouse. We serve customers with a single listing who are really paying us to constantly upgrade our pricing engine. We serve customers with thousands of listings who a pricing engine update is not because you come in and customize it. We recognize that causes challenges for you. And I owe you all an apology at Verma for whatever challenges that you've run into. But we have a better way that your next pricing engine will be available to you, but not required. Little backstory here. About 9 months ago, Wheelhouse developed the capability to start running multiple pricing engines at the same time. That was a non-trivial effort. You all didn't see it, but some of the changes we made were also meant to enable that capability. We needed to create an entirely new architecture so we could have multiple pricing engines running. The reason that's going to benefit you is exactly what we're going to see here. So right now, everyone on Wheelhouse is on version 8.3 of their pricing engine. The next version will be 8.4. And when we roll out a new pricing engine, which will probably be, I think it's going to be available in 8 weeks, maybe 6. You will not have to move over to it. You'll be able to opt in. Kind of like opting into your iOS or phone upgrades or desktop upgrades, whatever you have. Now, you'll also be able to preview the changes between the 2 models, which won't be very dramatic because it's a demo, just can't be dramatic here. We'll also show you here, this is chart zoomable, but we'll show you the differences and what the biggest areas of difference are. So you can go investigate. Maybe you like some of the model, but you don't like how we're handling the near term. You'll be able to go and customize your setup before you move over. This is all exportable as a PDF or image, or sorry, as an image or a CSV. So if you wanted to go analyze the difference between these models, you could do so outside of our system. We'll also show you kind of some overall statistics of what we're doing. I don't know how valuable these would be. We'd love to, as this rolls out the door, hear what would help you more. And again, we'll be highlighting the biggest differences, potentially with an explanation. So right now this is a fake listing, everything's a drop. Prices will be going up and down. But I think the cooler version of this is starting to explain why. So if a predictive or, if our price signal or reactive model is making that recommended change, starting to give you insights here. Where this gets more valuable, because we are doing a lot of good data science. We are moving the pricing engine forward quickly right now. In particular, we've added some more teammates here. One is obviously selection. You will be able to opt in. We like that. We really now get to have 3 pricing engines running because we have our current, our new one, and then we have our exploratory model that maybe eventually we'll make that public to you all too. But look, we want to put you in control of every knob and dial, of course, but we also want to put you in control of when you're using new data science. And this is a major effort. This is available at the portfolio view as well. We're still working on the UI here. But now we'll be able to, you can grab, as you can see, we're still working on the UI. But if I grab these properties, I'm able to expand this and just get a general sense. So now you could filter by a market or a segment, and you could go market by market and figure out, if Wheelhouse is roughly in line with some of what you're seeing, maybe it's an easy switch for you. And if a market looks really drastically different, maybe you wait to upgrade that market. I believe this is exportable too, but I haven't clicked the download button for a couple weeks, so I'm not sure. Not sure. This is where the UI could be much more lovely, but of course we're showing you price changes on a daily basis. It'd be great if we could make these columns sortable now. We definitely owe you all that. But we'll put our designer on this. Right now, the data science team's been in charge of the design just to get this out to the front end. It's a lot of data to load. We're past that challenge, and now we're on to, and you can see there's some shading here of where the price differences are bigger, but more work we can do here. A column that aggregates your overall change is going to be valuable too. So there are certainly things we can change and should change about this, but excited to forevermore launch pricing engine updates where you opt in. All right. Number 2, grouped settings. And this is live on my account. You should take the pricing engine stuff. We won't roll that out probably until a couple weeks before the pricing engine goes live. But this is this is something that I'm hopeful gets out in the next, probably by Verma. And what you'll notice is on my portfolio settings view, I've got a lot of properties with different configurations. And people have asked us, so for example, I'm looking at minimum price. I've got all these different configurations here. And some people do have consistent configurations tied to markets, tied to bedroom counts, tied to other things. But it's kind of a pain to go kind of find and pull all those. So what we have now, and you'll see this live on my account, is when I select a setting now, Wheelhouse will automatically pull in all of your groups. Auto group. We'll assume you might want to act on those settings as a group. And the nice part about that now is now for every group which shares the same settings, we can offer you a preview. Before, and you might recognize this view, when you grabbed all listings, no preview is available. It's because in some cases we might have to draw 73 different lines, and that would be a lot. It would take you a long time to load this. So that's not something we can do yet. Additionally, you used to only be able to do things such as, okay, I'm going to save new or replace all across all listings. So this grouping now makes you're much more precise. Now you can come in and just change for this group. Maybe you say, let's bump up Friday to 180, Saturday to 180. Now I can just save this change for this group. Because it's all the same settings, we don't need the notion of a replace all, because you could just go delete all your settings, right? So we get away from a dangerous replace all, which is really it's nuking all of your settings, so to speak. But in this case, I'm coming in, I'm making a really precise change to group A. I could go do so. It's going to make me, it's going to make me go make the change again. But I could then go to group A and group B. And probably some better nomenclature we can come up with for group A, group B, but you will see that these properties are all grouped here. And I can go open them in a new window to explore specifically that listing. It's going to load in a second here. So some interesting functionality comes. Again, you can still do what you were able to do before, which was act on all listings. We will now default group all your, kind of have this algorithm it's a matching algorithm. And you can see, in this case, I have tons of different groups. That probably wouldn't be a normal use case, but you'll probably see 4 or 5. And really, this is absolutely meant as an accelerant. We heard people say in the past that when you grabbed a bunch of listings, it was hard to see where outliers were. So in this case, I have 61 that are sharing the same configuration. And maybe I have a couple that aren't, and I want to go either verify that that's still correct, or I want to bring them into having the same functionality as group A. So we'll make merging two groups a little bit easier. Right now, you'd have to go here and switch over to data driven and save group B, and then it's going to merge with group A. Right. So we can accelerate that a little bit, but this should just save you a lot of time. Again, no matter how many listings, we'll group them for you. You'll still be able to act on all of them if you like. And if you want to come make a change, we can do it for you. So no loss of functionality. You've just gained the grouping, and we do think that will hopefully accelerate you. That is auto group listings. Update number 2. All right, which gives us a few minutes for an entirely new product family from Wheelhouse that we've been working on candidly for a long time. And you're going to see very soon this reporting tab. And I think of reports as such a boring term for what really should be a new type of communication experience with owners, or at least it could be. And at worst, this is going to be better reporting for your team or for you or for any stakeholders. But we're going to see how this can also really change how you could interact with owners in a second here. Okay. So reporting is going to be available at the portfolio level, meaning I could build a report on my whole portfolio, or I could build it for any segment. But first, before we get there, I'm going to click into an individual listing level, and you'll see that you have that same reporting tab here. Okay. So now these are reports tied to your listings. And the first report that you'll have available, we have these system reports. And the first one is just, it's just a performance report. We're looking, it kind of replaces what used to be your performance tab. It'll look at how this listing is doing versus last year. I have adjusted revenue, nightly revenue, length of stay. Everything you have on your performance tab today is here. This is configurable. So if I did want to just look at this year, I can toggle over to that. Very basic so far. Okay. A better view, a better way for you to look at performance. Report type number 2 from Wheelhouse. This is now versus market. All right. So because this listing is in Myrtle Beach, we know the market is Myrtle Beach. If I, for some reason, wanted to change that, I could do so here. But now I'm going to see my listing revenue for the time period in question. I'm going to see the market revenue, and I'm averaging per listing, right? So this is the average revenue per listing, occupancy, nightly rates, etc. I also have different elements. So I've got these charts. I've got different types of charts. I even have tables. Okay. Relatively basic still. Now, a couple of things here. One is for an owner, I might want to create a snapshot for this owner. Well, first of all, this is downloadable. I can download this as a PDF and email it to any owner. If I create a snapshot, I'm going to create it. And because it's not live, of course, it's going to have some funny interaction there. Let me just go back here. Who thought that wasn't going to happen? Okay. So let me go back in 1 second here. Clearly, you're going to have to give us one more week. When you create a snapshot, maybe the fun, interesting part here, I think it should probably open up. Okay. So snapshots are a moment in time, right? The report's always updating. If you got another booking, for May right now, May would increase. A snapshot is a moment in time. And a snapshot can be, of course, exported. It can also be emailed to an owner, right? It can be emailed to anyone. And perhaps, and this is an interesting way some folks are kind of testing this out. So that maybe naming a couple of things. One is one of the early exciting parts about this was people, I thought, and this might look like a lot of information to you, for the folks that have been sending out demo versions of this to owners, they're actually seeing a decrease in owner inbounds. So owners are like, okay, I get it. You're looking at a ton of data. Thank you for the update. Part one. Part two, they're combining these reports and these exports with an advertisement, right? So, hey, do you have other people in your market who we should be talking to? Turns out owners opened up an email that says, we have your revenue report versus market open. If you wanted to, you obviously can just export the PDF and send it, and we'll make it so that's automated. You'll be able to automate it and, for every listing, send out a report. But you could also share with an owner or a teammate. If I tag Chantel here, oops, Chantel's not a teammate of mine yet. Sorry, I'm going to tag Mike. Hi, Mike. Can you check this out? And I submit it. Mike is going to get a pop-up on his dashboard here. So he's going to see that he has a new comment that he needs to respond to. Someone else, a teammate, shared this report with me. I'm able to click right in and see it. So where might this go? Where does this get exciting for us? Is it could, just be an export email to a client, cut down your communications, get a new advertising channel. Eventually you'll be able to customize even like your logo in here. But it's hopefully a way to accelerate your communications. For really expert users of this, which we don't expect to be the use case. That's why we're creating these system reports. And we'll have another one. It'll be performance versus comp set or dynamic set. But you can come in here and edit widgets. So for example, one of the widgets I have access to is my pricing chart. And I want my owners actually to have performance versus market. And I also want them to be able to see their pricing coming up versus market median and market 25th percentile. Okay. And you save your new report. This is performance versus market plus next 90 days pricing. And you save it once, and it is now available across every single listing. Meaning Eve, you can build Eve's awesome performance report. With your information, your details, you build that template once, it's available everywhere. There are other widgets we want to add. Right now you have charts. If I added in a stat, I could have brought it in for my market, my dynamic set. So if I had an assigned listing and if I wanted to bring this in, I could do it. And now I need to set particular dynamic set. So now I can bring in any comp set I want. But I can bring that in here if I wanted to pull in nightly adjusted occupancy. And again, it's configurable. If you have one, that's great. We'd love to hear about it. We will have probably 5 system reports. Where this is definitely going is at first our reports will be for owner retention. We want you to be able to send an update to an owner and hear any feedback faster. We want you to be able to automate a lot of that should you want to. You can set it up on a quarterly or monthly basis. However, we also want to have this for acquisition. So if you wanted to send out a template to an owner, we'll have an acquisition template where you can send out their predicted pricing. We can show market trends, etc. here. So we'll build out one of those for you. We'll build out another one for onboarding. So Wheelhouse right now, you probably know that Wheelhouse has a really boring budget tool where you can come in and build out a budget for all of your properties. And it's fine. It's actually not that great. But we are, in 6 weeks, we'll have a very good budget tool available for you. So that will immediately make that a widget. So if you set a budget with an owner, you'll be able to bring that widget into your reporting suite as well. So reports are for us, again, what we think about is the introduction of a new communication experience. At worst, you're just consuming more and better data for your account. Maybe better, you're using it to ask questions of teammates, maybe that you're managing revenue managers, you ask them about how they're doing. I could have built a report across an entire market. That's easy to do. So then whoever managed that market, I could go in there and ask them for a monthly report and leave questions there.
Hey, Andrew, we've got a really good question in the chat. So I'm gonna pause you right there because I think it's a great time. Dana asked about creating or running a report for a specific segment.
Yeah, cool, great. So I'm going to go into my
Can you
data
show
sources
that?
here. Yeah, I'm going to go into my data sources, and you would be able to pull in any segment here. If you had 3 properties, you'd be able to pull them in here too. This listing filter, by the way, will bring to the whole site because it should be everywhere. Right now you only filter down, but we should allow you to build up. You can go to so if I want to just filter by all of my properties in this market. So any filter, any segment, any listing can be brought here. If I filtered by Amelia Island, which I'll do, so all my properties in Amelia Island, I would also then go select the market, obviously Amelia Island. And now I'm going to see I could either do average per listing or total. But average per listing, all these metrics will now apply. And now when I export, it's all this information, right? So yeah, any segment, any filter can make up, and I'll get it better. Let me just go find a few listings here just so we have a little bit better. Do this, and we'll strip out that it has to be an Amelia Island. And now you'll see real data here. So yeah, at the portfolio level, your whole portfolio, any subsegment of your portfolio, you could run a report on your troubled listings. You could run a report on your best performing listings. Anything you can do, because you can use the filters include performance. So I can look at, like, okay, show me all my low performing properties and let me run the report on that. Right? So I can remove that. So yeah, lots you can do. We're gonna have a whole workshop on reporting because it's so robust. It's a whole other additional platform. It's gonna tie into, you might have noticed, so Wheelhouse in 2026, we are laser focused, of course, on helping you attain more revenue through a revenue management platform. But we really want to get into helping you truly gain new listings, dynamic sets, reports, budgets are part of that. And retaining owners, reports, and flags, and other things that we saw are all tied into that. But this is the paradigm we expect to deliver on to truly become your revenue and growth platform in 2026. So reports are a big part of that. That's really all. Just in case, Mike, you want to name anything here?
Yeah, totally. Lots of investment on the support side from Wheelhouse. We've been releasing a lot of market deep dives, so our YouTube channel has a lot of those organized, and I'm sure we've dug into different markets that you all manage in, so please take a look there. We've released a few different case studies. We're churning out a lot of RM education materials. And then along with Chantel, we hired another customer success rep who handles our in-platform chat, which I'm sure y'all are well versed in. But yeah, really excited to continue to support customers and make sure you're unlocking a lot of the new functionality we've gone through today.
Awesome. You almost certainly know this. Your live 24/7 chat is here. Product updates, everything we saw today in Canny, which is our changelog tracker, is always linked there. We usually do full page interrupts, so when a new product hits, you'll get the notice. We've got these other features as well, but what our AM and CS team do is really fun. So with that all, thank you so much for your time. I know it was a lot. We did record everything, so you'll be able to look back. We'll send out an email with links to all the things we covered, as well as the video. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being Wheelhouse customers. We love the chance to work for you. We love the chance to learn from you. And looking forward to hopefully seeing a bunch of you at Verma or other conferences as we round out the year.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all. Take care.